The wait is almost over. A new football season is about to begin. Get ready for the NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. That's right. Use code BOOT. All you have to do is bet $5 on the Saints. They're going to win anyways. You get $200 in free bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code BOOT. And you get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet. 21 or older, physically present in Louisiana, select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. One early win token issued a opt-in money line bets only. That's DraftKings. Download it now. Use code BOOT. Going to have Chaz and 5 on. We were about to record the show. Donovan Mitchell just got traded to the Cavs, so we're going to talk about that easily because we're going to talk about if the Pelicans can be a top 4 team in the Western Conference. Once again, 5. And Chaz will be joining the show, presented to you by Boot Crew Media and Company Burger. Let's get into the show.
First took away. That's the best. Get your money's worth out.
All right, if you're watching on YouTube, got to do this for my guy 5. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Got 5 in, got Chaz. For what we were going to talk about was would the Pelicans be a top 4 team in the Western Conference? We're going to get into that. Donovan Mitchell has been traded to the Cavaliers. We're still waiting for more details on that. 5 and Chaz, join the show. How are y'all doing, fellas?
We're good, even better. Donovan Mitchell won't be in the West. That's crazy.
It's crazy. And the Knicks take another loss.
The Knicks, the
Take
Heat.
another loss. The Heat is rough. It's rough.
The Knicks stay losing. It's absolutely one of my favorite things going on in the league. I do want to talk about something before we get into the Donovan Mitchell stuff because Chaz, you just literally screamed into our ears how excited you are, and it mentioned that the Pelicans should now go for it. We're gonna get into that. But before that, let's talk about Jay Williams and Greenberg yesterday. Greenberg went on his show saying that the Pelicans could be a top 4 team in the West. I'm going to play that clip, and then I'm going to play what Jay Williams then said, because I do have a big problem with what he said.
But the combination of your 2 Duke guys, of Zion and Brandon Ingram, I believe that when the playoffs begin this year, they would have home court advantage. They'd be a top 4 team.
What?
Top four team in the Western Conference if Zion is healthy.
And I agree with that statement. This is what pissed me off.
Give me other impact players on New Orleans that would make you think they're going to finish top.
Okay, let me go first. This is the problem I've had with national media for a very long time now. When you say impactful players, did he watch any of the playoffs last year? How can you say Brandon Ingram's not an impactful player? CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Jose Alvarado, Jonas Valanciunas, the list goes on and on. That's 6 I just rattled off right there. That pisses me off because the Pelicans do have impactful players. And I do think with a healthy Zion Williamson, this is a legitimate team. This is a team that can be top 4 in the West. Chaz, will start with you, then go to 5, especially now that the Jazz are basically, they're mailing in for the next couple of years. The time is now for the Pelicans. And Chaz, the time is now to make a move. I'm not saying they have to make a move right now, but this team is a legitimate threat to finish top 4 in the West because we talk about it. The Jazz are gone. I think they're better than the Grizzlies. I think they're better than the Mavericks. I think that if the Clippers can stay healthy, they're a legitimate threat to the Clippers. Where am I off on that?
I think when you stand pat, as the organization has done, not that they haven't been trying to do things, but I think when you stand pat and you putting all your eggs in the Zion basket, it allows the national media to create these narratives because for as good as Brandon Ingram is, he's not a very sexy player. Pause. He doesn't make the quote unquote sexy plays. He doesn't hit the big game winning shots. The idea of CJ McCollum is better than the player. I think that's the national media's kind of feelings toward him. And people just totally underestimate JV. It's funny. You can tell who doesn't watch the team because they'll say shit like,
right.
Oh, and you got Jonas Valanciunas. He's a sniper from behind the arc. Like they just say stupid stuff. Like this stupid stuff. And you're like, that's not true. Like that's inaccurate. But I think when the team doesn't round out the rest of the roster, like I feel like you got 6 spots that need to be corrected. When you're not rounding out the bottom half of that roster, it's you open yourself up for these national media narratives. I think, help permitting, I think this roster is top 6.
That's
Help
fair.
permitting. I like Jay Williams, but I think a lot of things will have to go to Pell's way for them to be a top 4 team.
Well, 5, you add Zion Williamson, right? So we talked about rounding out the rosters, the team without Zion Williamson, a guy averaged 26 on 60% shooting. Does Zion, just simply adding Zion into this lineup 5, does he make him a top 4 team in the West?
I think I've always been that person to say that this team could be top 3. I've said this multiple times in a sense that they're talented. Yes, I think they can make more moves to get better and to probably get more consistent, especially in the bottom half. Chaz, you said something in your hot take to say leadership is loud. That's what we don't have. We don't have a loud leader. Hence why Brandon isn't the sexy look, or he doesn't have that glamour to him. He isn't loud. He isn't flamboyant in things that he do. He just goes about his work. And I don't think Zion, as loud as his persona is, he's not that kind of person. And I think we need that. And I don't think CJ's that, no. And I think that's why people look at us like, oh, they could, do something in the West, but they don't, they're not going to come out and just, stamp their of approval like Greeny did. I just think Greeny probably just likes the team, likes the organization at this point and what they're doing. And the players that we do have, if you just watch, but Jay Williams, he kind of goes too far. Even though I'm a Duke fan, he really wasn't even supposed to go to Duke. That's another story for another day.
And he's Louisiana native, right? I'm pretty sure. Didn't he go to Southern High School?
No, you're talking about
Chris Duhon. What am I doing? What am I?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Before we get into this trade, Cleveland Cavaliers traded Colin Sexton, Matt Markerin,
Larry,
Baji, 3 first-round picks, and then 2 pick swaps. We're going to get into that in a second. One thing I do want to mention that the Pelicans haven't had in a while, and 5, I'll start with you because you mention this all the time, is familiarity with each other. This is the first time this roster it hasn't really turned over much, and they are used to playing with each other. Now it's going to take some time for Zion to get into that mix, but I don't think it should be that big of a problem. But 5, I think that's something that we haven't really talked about a lot, is that this team is close and that they're clicking right now, and they hang out with each other. Obviously in Laguna Beach, they've played a ton of games with each other now. They're going in their second season with the same coach, same coaching staff, same players. That has to be a positive for this team, moving into next season.
Finally, they get to have the same role and probably expand upon said role through an offseason. I mean, that's paramount. I think the other 39 teams consecutively can do that. We just haven't been able to with the last 3 years.
Right.
This is the first time for most of these people, even Zion, even though he hasn't really been on the court for this coach, Jackson Hayes is okay. He finally got the coach for the same 2 years in a row.
True.
You have no idea what. Brandon has had 5 head coaches.
So he had 2 in LA, then he had Gentry, Stan, and then Willie. That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal. I had this argument about Jamal Crawford. Jamal Crawford had 20 head coaches in 20 years.
Wow.
Imagine if that player was able to be on the same team with the same coach 2 years in a row. Like, who knows what he would be?
Right.
Brandon is that. Like, who knows what Brandon could be if he just had consistency like Kobe did or LeBron did it early in his career. Or like, there's so many opportunities that they could have just by having consistency.
And 5, I'm sorry, Chaz, let's talk about a little bit of consistency because, listen, that's a big deal, especially in today's league. Brandon Ingram, we talked about having 5 different head coaches. Zion Williamson even went from Coach K to Gentry to Stan. This is his 4th coach in 5 years, whatever it may be. I know he didn't have much time with Willie, but that's got to be somewhat of a positive for the Pelicans moving into this season.
Yeah, I think it is somewhat of a positive. In fact, I would say there may be a little too much consistency with the staff going into this season. But that being said, I think, just how we say growth isn't linear as it pertains to like bad players, we kind of have to keep that energy as it pertains to guys who may have overachieved last year. I mean, that's another part for as great as continuity is. I think you always have to be in a process of getting better, trying to get better, creating competition amongst guys in the locker room and on the court. Cleveland is a Rubio injury. I think Jared Allen injury away from probably being Eastern Conference Finals contenders, and they still went out and got better. They got better giving up guys who weren't even a part of that winning roster last year, aside from Laurie. So being content and, counting on, the clock not to strike 12 with a guy like a Jose, for as good as he's been. I don't know if continuity cures that. I think you still have to go out and get better. Still have to be consistently getting better.
Okay. I don't mind that opinion. So let's pivot a little bit because Donovan Mitchell just got traded. We have talked about this. We've done a show about it, of getting Bojan Bogdanovic, and Chaz, I'll start with you about getting better. I've had some people actually be like, why do we need Bogdanovic? You got Larry Nance, you got Jackson Hayes, you got so on and so forth. Well, Bogdanovic, 5 brings this point up all the time. We're not a really good a 3-point shooting team. We're just not. Stats back that up. Bogdanovic is one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. Also, he gives you a little bit of depth behind Zion Williamson, who we know he's not playing 82 games this year. So you want to talk about getting better and going to get a guy that makes you better. It's Bojan Bogdanovic. And I think, Chaz, and then we'll get Fod's opinion here, I think he gets you better.
I think again, man, people are kind of like, we have attachment issues with players. So you like these guys, you kind of watch them grow up and you see, spurts of them doing good things. But if you don't want, at this point, if you're content with this roster and you don't want to add a guy like Bojan, who's a proven veteran, right? Part of one of the winningest franchises in the past few years, consistently in the conversation to be title contenders, then you are unserious. You don't want to win. You're just not serious. You're watching the game for a different reason than the rest of us. You're just not serious. I don't think anyone can make a realistic argument why you don't go get a guy like a Bojan, why you don't go get a guy like even Jordan Clarkson if you're a fan. Like at this point, there's really nothing you can say. You can talk about personalities clashing, which you really have no evidence of. You can talk about a lot of things, but at the end of the day, are you better than the Clippers? No,
not today.
Are you better? And when you have two guys who struggle to stay healthy, throughout their careers, respectfully, you have to take that into account as well. You need to give yourself as much landing room as possible, as much room for error as possible, especially when you see other teams in the league like consistently improving in front of you. Like the Lakers made a small move in getting Patrick Beverly, but they got a guy who just helped push the Timberwolves into the playoffs. They underachieved once they got there, but he's a guy who's shown his value on teams. And this season, I don't know how we combat that or how we counter that with about 2 weeks remaining in the offseason until training camp starts.
All right, I dig the Bojan trade possible. We do need to get better. Of course, we need to become better shooters. My issue is we really just don't know what our floor is. That's the true issue. Yeah, we could be really bad, or really good, but we don't know what Zion really is. We have no idea to really see what that looks like on this team. I'm not saying not trade for a shooter because we need that inherently badly, especially when he comes back because he needs more space. And we haven't been able to even provide that space even when he's not there. Like we can't shoot when we're open. So I agree with you there. My only issue is we don't have the ability to see what this team looks like currently on the floor because people, one, are probably not in shape or an injury. That's what stifles me. That's what stifles me about the whole thing. But if you even look back at this Donovan thing, the Cavs, they're at a point where, like, all right, we've seen this team. We don't know if they're going to get us to the promised land. Yeah, you say Ricky Rubio, but that was sure luck. You don't know if that can happen 2 years in a row with that same team. So they went out and got better. Crazy that they beat the Heat and the Knicks, but they went out and got better because they know what they had. We have no idea what that is.
That's a fair point. It's actually an interesting point because you talk about the Cavs. The Cavs are, I feel like the Cavs are basically just going all in right now and going to get Donovan Mitchell. And we talk about, being in a top 4 in the West. You don't know what you have with Zion. I think he's a big question mark. But if you get Zion from 2 years ago, if you get that dominant force and back in your lineup with a Brandon, CJ, Herb, Trey, Jose, and Jonas, is it a top 4? Is it a top 4?
It's a top 3 for me. It's a top 3. Yeah, it's
and
a top 3.
You don't think that's a top 4?
Me?
Yeah.
No. I say that because
I want 5 to go first because I want to see why. I know we talked about it. But why? Why are we a top 3? Do we have to be fully healthy? Like this is
it's barring. I would say this even with injuries were turned off. Injuries for all teams were turned off. I really believe that we could be a top 3 team.
I completely agree.
Just on the simple fact that we would have enough talent if we just became better at defending the 3-point line, which I think we can, because defense is all about consistency. I think if we became that team that we saw at the end of the year last year, that was on a string, and you add an athlete like Zion, and hopefully he can be. You say 2 years ago, I want the Zion from Duke. That's the Zion I want. That's the person that I want because that's the person I saw help side was phenomenal going to get blocks. Then was able to grab rebounds and push it on his own handle. Like that Zion, that puts us at 3. That puts us over the top and probably gets us maybe a Western Conference championship berth.
Wow. Chaz, you disagree. Go ahead.
I disagree because I look at last year as kind of fluky. That on top of, aside from us having an abundance of talent, with a healthy Zion, presuming, we still don't know how to win. Like we still haven't shown that we know how to win versus a team like Golden State who knows how to win. Denver knows how to win, even when they were like super banged up last year. The Clippers, they know how to win up until a certain point, but they don't have the Doc Rivers problem anymore. So they'll probably, do what they're supposed to do now. Even Luka knows how to win. Phoenix knows how to win up until a certain point anyway. It's just like, the Pelicans they just have a tendency, even from the veterans, to just step on rakes. And let's say the injuries all turned off, but let's say in reality, they tend to get injured at the most inopportune times. Like, it'll be a 4-game homestand against the Detroit Pistons twice, and the Kings, who I think the Kings have actually gotten better too. That's not a team we're talking about enough. It'll be a 4-game homestand against the Pistons and the Globetrotters, and the Pelicans. The whole team will get food poisoning. Like it is stupid shit. Just stupid. Like team is it's this goofy shit that happens. And it's like, it's like I just don't trust we know how to win yet.
I can agree with you there. We don't know how to win. But my only issue with your rebuttal is to say it was fluke. Bro, we won under 40 games last year. Yeah, of course it was a fluke. Of course. I think we should have been better. We should have been better. We should have been worse. Most flukes is like, oh, you were better than what you were. No, we were worse than what we should have been. We're worse than what we should have been.
So let's piggyback off of that comment, Five, because now you're adding a Zion Williamson and you're adding another a year of everyone being together. That's why I think this team can take that leap. But Chaz brings up a great point. A lot of people did overachieve last year. Can Herb Jones stay consistent? Can Jose Alvarado, who I think we all agree overachieved last year, is he that guy? And I'm expecting Trey Murphy to take that leap. I have some PTSD from the Nikhil Alexander-Walker taking that leap because we all know we thought Nall was going to be that guy. Go ahead.
No, about to get them shots up in Utah. No, about to get them shots up in Utah.
Exactly. But y'all both bring up good points. But let's talk about it, Trey Murphy being that guy that takes the leap, because we all expect it. Five, do you think Trey Murphy's that? I don't think we're talking about Trey Murphy that much, but I'm expecting big things from him this year, being that guy that shot 45% in the second half last year, being 6'10". He was actually pretty good defensively later on in the year. Can he be that guy that takes the Pelicans over the hump, that takes them to a top 5, top 4 seed?
Listen. What my only issue with what you're talking about, you said Jose, Herb, and Trey. Were their years fluke? Look at what you asked them to do. You asked Jose to play defense, the thing that he showed you he can do even from college. He was an ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Hey, dribble the ball and play defense, pick and roll, the thing you've done your whole life. Okay, we're not changing that. Boom. Trey Murphy. Oh yeah, shoot the ball really well and play defense and get rebounds. The things he has done since he was in college. Yeah, Herb, play defense and finish and pick and rolls. You could be the main stopper. The thing he did in college. We're not asking them to do anything that they haven't done the whole life. And if you think that was a fluke, I think you're wrong. That's easily replicated. That's easily replicable. Like, they can do that year in and year out. What they add to their game is getting better at what they already are good at. Jose knocking down open threes, catching shoots, playing off Brandon and CJ. I think that's replicable. They can do that again. Herb getting better at shooting, which we didn't even think was possible. We didn't even know that was going to happen. But if you look at it, that's easily replicable. Like, yo, you just catching and shooting. That ain't changing. Chaz like to point out, people forget how to shoot. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. But what they're asked to do, they can do again.
It's a hell of a point there, Five. Chaz, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean their performance or flukes. I meant the team's overall performance. Like, winning 33 games, or how many games you win? 36, and you go into the playoffs. Then Devin Booker gets hurt, and then it's just like
Andrew's a part of the game, Chaz, and we were beating the hell out of, or we were going to win that game too. But go ahead.
Yeah, like, I'm just saying, certain shit just don't happen, and like it just don't be happening like this. Like, it's just. It's like when Kyrie and what's his name, Harden, get hurt in the same game after the Nets were blowing Milwaukee out back to back, and now all of a sudden Milwaukee looks competent. No, they got fucking lucky. Like, it's okay to be lucky. Luck is opportunity meets preparation. I just think that again, you're counting on guys who've never been healthy to be healthy, right? You're counting on guys.
Brandon likes his off days, but he's been somewhat healthy ever since the blood clot. Go ahead. Sorry.
He's not going to agree there. You know, he gets those injuries, and it takes him a while to come back. I totally agree with the injury.
I agree with that part, Chaz. Yes,
it happens though. You can't fight that. Like, you can't.
But this is why I talk about depth, because we have to. Yeah. You have the answers right in front of us. You know, Zion and Brandon aren't playing 82. That's okay. If they can get to the 65 game, that's fine. CJ, a year older, probably 65.
And that's my overall point. It's just like, yeah, it's a part of the game. But sometimes it just happens to these guys. Sometimes it's just those guys. Like, it just happens to those guys sometimes. And that's okay. That's okay. Cool, right? But I think you have to take that into account and accommodate that those 20 missed games, 30 missed games collectively. You just have to take that into account, because to think that they even going to play 70 games, I think that's extremely, like, together, like 70 games together as a tandem. That's extremely optimistic at this point. And that's my entire point. Just that, you know they're going to be hurt. You know Brandon going to get an ankle or this or that or that. You know Zion, he's probably going to be on load management, things like that. Probably not going to play back-to-backs here and there. Probably going to be doing some ramping up, shit like that. And it's like, you just got to take it into account. JV's going to be a year older. You know what I'm saying? His body was kind of breaking down last year. It's just we haven't done enough to help those guys, be able to take those breaks that they need. I feel like. I think
what will be that this is going to tell our season, to be honest, when those games are going to happen, where Brandon and Zion are going to miss.
Yep.
The ability to win those games without them is going to tell me everything I need to know about this team. Did they get better? Yeah, the game's going to be real easy when BI and Zion. The game's going to be really hard when BI and Zion aren't there. But to see that, I hope I didn't say that. Oh, it's pause. Okay, I hope that's not.
I didn't hear you say nothing crazy.
Oh, I know you had looked. I was like, oh shit.
Go ahead.
Nah, like to see those games happening where Brandon and Zion aren't there, they're going to be really tough to win. Just like when Book and CP3 were out and the Suns had to win games without those two out there. They did repeatedly.
Same with Denver.
Same with the
Memphis.
Clippers.
And I think
that's what I'm saying. That's
the confidence that you have to have in a team. Memphis drafts really well, and they get competent players, and they get competent play even when the stars aren't there. I think that falls on the coaching staff heavily, because if you can't get those players ready to play and win a game. Remember last year we played the 76ers? BI was out.
Everybody was out.
Everybody was out.
Hernan Gomez did his thing.
Like to steal, you have to be able to steal those games.
Yeah,
you have to be able to steal those games. Not just be competitive in those games, stealing them, because you're not supposed to win, but you win them anyway.
And I completely agree. This is why I want Bogdanovic so bad, is because he's a veteran that you can just plug and play, and you don't have this crazy downhill fall. Like without Brandon last year, we were 3-19 or 3-20. It was unacceptable, and you can't do that. So this is where we're talking about is that back half of the roster, as Chaz was saying, the first 6 to 7 guys are really fucking talented. They're really good. They're one of the best teams, in my opinion, in the Western Conference. But this isn't based off of 20, 30, 40 games. This is 82 games. Okay. I hate to say it, but you can't plug and play Najee Marshall and Billy Hernan Gomez and Garrett Temple and that back end of the bench. Those aren't winning players. Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson, those type of guys that are gettable right now. I think that's what the Pelicans should be targeting. And if you can shore up those last 3 or 4 bench spots, then you're really good. Because the first 7, and I don't think y'all would disagree with me, the first 7 are really fucking good. That's including with Jose Alvarado, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Did y'all see someone?
Larry Nance is a fine plug and play guy.
Yeah, he's a serviceable guy.
He's fine. But I think what we're all saying here is that the talent is there, but can you last 82 games? Yeah. Can you be a top 4 team for 82 games? And I think we have the trade deadline, but one of my last points here, I'll start with 5 to Chaz, is what are we going to do with all these draft picks? We have an abundance of draft picks, and there are gettable teams right now. They're gettable players, and the West right now, it's pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but it can be winnable.
Listen, if there's a fire sale in Utah, as we all assume that it is right now, if they want picks, because that's what they were searching for, they can have them.
Exactly.
I'm not saying give up your most valuable pick for Bojan. I'm not saying that. But if there's an opportunity to get him at a decent price, and you slightly may have to overpay for it, do it, because it's going to be way more beneficial in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, to have a player like that. Because you don't know about injuries. You don't know what's going to happen. To have that one there that can knock down open shots, that sometimes creates for himself, which is, not most people even think about when he comes to this game. And then when he plays in New Orleans, bro be giving buckets.
He's the greatest basketball player I've ever seen.
Oh my God, he gave us 38 one night. I was like, what?
They get 38 points on 0 rebounds, 0 assists. Like, he did nothing else besides just put the ball in the hoop.
So
that's all he did.
So to have a player like that can get hot on his own is a major plus. And then giving a team like Utah that's, in a position that they're in, why not?
And then also, Chaz, before I get to you, he spaces the floor. What a lot of people don't understand is people like Zion need space. Brandon Ingram needs space because BI's a 3-level scorer. Needs space. CJ McCollum needs space. Chaz, Bojan he's like a perfect fit for me. He's literally a perfect fit.
He's a winner, comes from a winning program. And this kind of lends to, this kind of encompasses Jay Williams' thought process, the Donovan Mitchell trade, and my feelings about the Pelicans. the national media views the Pelicans as a cute story. Oh, that's cute. Herb Jones. That's cute. But when they look at the whole roster, when they really survey this roster, they see what you did last year. They taking into account what happened with the rest of the league last year. They know that the depth is just not there. Truthfully speaking, I even look at all the teams that went on to do that. They're coming off successful years, right? You look at the Warriors. They didn't just chill out, rest on their laurels. They went got what's his name, Devinchenko. They went got another guy who can ball. Boston went got Gallinari. He got hurt, but now they about to bring Melo in too, just for a little insurance. He might have a little bit left in the tank. It ain't, it's 87. It ain't 93. It ain't 93 gas. It's 87. He ain't got much left in the tank, but he got a little something, right? They bringing him in. The Bucks, they keep going out trying to get better. The Nets went and got TJ Warren. They brought in Royce O'Neal. They brought in like veteran players who know guys who
signed Morris.
Yeah, Marcus Morris, one of the twins. They brought in guys who know how to win. You know what I'm saying? They're not just betting on internal guys. Growth. Yeah, internal growth. And then you got to think about internal growth. Who the guy whose growth pause is most important is Willie's, because you can't have Willie not playing Trey again this year. You can't have Willie putting in Najee Marshall or Tony Snell over Trey. You can't have players not knowing when to foul at the end of a game down by 3. Garrett Temple, a veteran on the team, not knowing to foul. Like, it's like, what are we talking about here, man? What are we talking about? Like, Garrett Temple is still on the team. Like, it's like
that. Five.
That's a wasted roster spot.
I agree with you. Go ahead, Five.
Garrett Temple.
That right there. We talk about the growth of the actual players. What's up with the growth of the coaching staff? Like,
explain. Dive into that.
How are we getting better? How are we teaching them to get better on a day-to-day basis, or week to week? Because the coaching staff, the consistency of that, you can be like, oh, you can get some blame too. Like, we haven't been able to see these coaches implement something and see it translate on the court outside of Jose, outside of Herb, outside of Trey. Like, outside of those 3, that's like the armor. Like, okay, those 3. But everybody else, you can even go back past years. Like, wait, whoa, those players can get better. Skill-wise, maybe, but like not in a game setting, not on the court as a collective. It's always individual players getting better, but are they getting better collectively? Do they understand what they're doing, what they're supposed to do? Like, for the last 3 years, we've been the bottom 3 in defending the 3-point line. Yet, at no point in time do we change anything that we've done over this course of 3 years to stop that progress, because essentially we get outshot sometimes 3-1, 5-1 in the 3-point shot, and we kill ourselves, and we give ourselves no chance to win when we can't defend that. So
can't shoot either. It's not like we're a great 3-point shooting team.
But defending it is another thing. You can't shoot it. Cool. At least stop them from fucking shooting it. That has to be a rebuttal at some point.
Do we think that Brandon? So Brandon had a major dip in his 3-point percentage this year. You learned that he had surgery on his pinky. Do you think he takes a step? We're talking about taking steps back. Do you think he takes a step forward in that regard?
Go ahead, Shen. My bad.
No, I was gonna say, I don't think he necessarily needs to. I think I like that Brandon focuses on what he does well. He's gotten stronger, so you can see from him in the SVG year to him last year, you can see where his strength played a part in him attacking the rim. Now, to me, that's a great form of leadership, focusing on what you need to focus on, finishing through contact, getting to the free throw line, doing your thing. I think there's multiple ways to space the floor, right? But I think you have to get guys who already know how to shoot. You can't count on Fred Vincent. He's not helping anyone anymore. Like, it's just no disrespect to Fred, but it's like again, if you're gonna blame him, I mean, if you're gonna praise him for the successes, you have to blame him for the failures. Drew Holiday wasn't a great shooter here. He went to the Bucks, and now he's a damn knockdown shooter. Like, come on, like he can't help everybody. He doesn't have the time and the bandwidth. Yeah, Devontae Graham, like he doesn't have the bandwidth to help everyone. Right. You need some guys who know how to shoot, know how to win, know how to play, know defensive assignment, like have basketball IQ coming on to the roster. Pause. You need guys coming here with basketball intelligence and skill. You can't keep coaching motherfuckers up. You don't have the time. Look at the Cavs are contenders right now. Like Boston these guys are all on the same timeline. Brandon and Tatum, weren't they in the same draft or like right after one another? Yeah. So Jaylen Brown was in that draft, right? These guys are in the same timeline. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's time to win.
That's another issue. Is it time to win? Is that like the goal? Are we building? Are we just trying to build up to something to keep it more consistent? Like, I appreciate what the Toronto Raptors did. They just went for it.
Yeah.
If we suck after, we suck after. Cool. But we're going for this now. We're going for it now. But of course, they had been in the Eastern Conference Finals, 3 or 4 times, and they just had to go against LeBron and they got bounced, that kind of thing. Cool. But they knew at that time that they had to make a change to get better when the iron was hot. Like, are we even trying to do that? Or are we just trying to be consistently decent?
It's hot right now. I think I'm glad you brought this up, because this is the one thing that drove me crazy is like, well, we have time. We need to build in the process. Fuck the process. Go win. Go win now. You don't have all these opportunities.
How's the process doing in Philly? How's that process?
Not great. They haven't even been to an Eastern Conference final. This is what I'm talking. If you have a chance, I'm glad you brought that up. If you have a chance to win, which you do, you have what? Would y'all agree this is probably the most talented roster 1 through 15 this franchise has ever had? 1 through 15?
Absolutely.
Ooh,
the most talented?
That's wild.
Think about it. Our best team was the Chris Paul, D. West, Peja, right? This is the most talented team since New Orleans was ever originate, or from the Jazz to the Hornets and to the Pelicans. This city has seen 1 through 15, the best roster. Go capitalize right now. You have assets. You have draft picks. You have players. Go. What are we waiting on?
And I think, I'm one of those people who kind of trust Griff's decision making, but I really think he did himself a disservice when he thought that he can turn this into a free agent destination because JJ did him a solid and came here. It's like, no, look, again, CJ is cool, BI is cool. No one's uprooting to come play with those guys. No one is leaving California, Florida. No one's leaving to come here and play, right? You have to trade for those guys, right? It's not going to happen organically. Like, oh, well, Kevin Durant with the Golden State, because it's fucking Golden State. If the Warriors played in Antarctica, Kevin Durant wouldn't have gone there. Like, it was like, he don't, it's like, come on. You have to make these moves, man. And the one thing you don't want to count out, you can't count out the Lakers and LeBron, because next year the Lakers are going to have all this salary cap. They're going to, some guys are going to come over there next year. You know what I'm saying? LeBron going to try to give it one more go. And that's if they don't pull some wild shit this year. Well,
there's reports of what them trying to move. Sorry for cutting you off. There's reports they may get Westbrook off the books. Like, if they can get Westbrook off right now, they're a really good bat. They're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, and we counting on, respect to Brandon. I think he proved himself already, but we counting on a guy we haven't seen. You know what I'm saying? Last time I saw you, fans wasn't in the stands. You know what I'm saying?
It's a total different atmosphere. It's a total different game. We don't even play. The last time Zion was on the court, we don't even play the same. The offense is different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's different players on the court. Like,
they can, but talent-wise, so reason why we did this, talent-wise, they're top 4 or top 4, top 5, in my opinion. Can they get there, right? Can they shore up the back half of the roster? I think we've gone through a lot of things, what they can and what they can't do. I think, Five, you make a great point about the sophomores of Jose, Trey, and Herb. We're not asking them to do something that they're already comfortable doing that. And those are great things. JV's a vet. CJ's a vet. We've seen what Brandon can do. Zion, to me, is a big question mark, but if I get Zion from 2 years, or if I get Zion from Duke, this team's going to be a fucking problem. They're good. You're not going to want to play this team on a back-to-back or 3 out of 4. They're going to be an absolute problem, but people need to understand that you cannot be content right now with the roster because other teams are making moves and getting better. And I think that we all agree on that.
Yeah. I mean,
for sure.
Ifs are infinite.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? Ifs are infinite. It's like,
and I think where we missed last year is not having depth. I think it screams that we went 3-19, 3-20 without Brandon Ingram.
Dude, last year, and Herb's probably his best game against the Cavaliers. Cavs were busting our ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rudy, what's
They're
my
up
man?
25 in the first quarter, I think it was, or something.
Yeah, what's the guy who got hurt, man?
Not Rubio.
Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio tears his ACL.
Right.
Fucking Jared Harper. It saves us in the game. Jared Harper and what's my man? Gary Clark playing significant critical minutes in the game. It's like
Gary Clark.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. Like, what
Shout
do we?
North Carolina.
Shout out colored man's game. But Joe smoking Joe. That's Frazier with the Browns bomber. Shout out to the Brown bomber. But it's like, come on, man. Like this franchise keeps doing this weird shit. Go and get people like Lee Nalon, Brian Roberts, what's the other? What's Instant Grits? This weird ass players, man.
Jordan Crawford.
Get some professionals, man. Get some real people. There's real people out there. Josh Childress, Josh Smith. You know what I'm saying? Go and dig up the carcass of Jameer Nelson, who actually played well that year. We had Kendrick Perkins playing.
Norris Cole brought the playoffs.
Norris Cole, Ian Clark. We had what's the man? Kendrick Perkins played significant minutes. Go get some professional players, man. You hurt every year. You're hurt every year for whatever reason. Get some real players. Give yourself an out. If you got too much talent, trade them motherfuckers. It is what it is. Like just come on. Worry about where we're going to play them all. Worry about that later. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let them fight in the locker room.
Figure it out. 5, close it out.
I just want to see a winner. I just want to see a team that wants to win. Yeah. Jay Williams, you're not Jason anymore. You're Jay now. Jay Will, stop talking crazy. I know you're on TV. I know you're trying to make points and you're trying to get the ratings up because ESPN ain't doing too hot right now. But that's okay. Just tell the truth, man. At least try to.
Yeah.
Try to.
Yeah. That's why we started this whole thing in the beginning. Is don't tell me impactful players. That's bullshit. That's a bad take. You want to talk about the depth or whatever, maybe that's fine. Yeah. But the team's got impactful players. They showed that last year. When they're healthy, they're really good.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure everybody's calling Griff to try. Everybody in the NBA at some point probably called David Griffin and asked for Herb. At some point, somebody probably asked for Herb.
Last question I have for y'all. Is the pick worth less now that the Lakers have Pat Beverly and that now LeBron has announced that he's opting in? Is that pick worth less now? Or those Lakers picks worth less now?
Yeah.
They are?
Yeah, I would say so, but you got swaps for the next 2 years, I think it is. Is it through 2020?
You got the 23 swap and you own their 24. You can defer to 25.
So you got 3 years from this to let it go. But go ahead, Five.
But I'm just saying, like, it's still like you ain't waiting that long to get off it. You need to get off it immediately. So it should have been done before LeBron signed that extension to say he's going to be in LA. Last year was the only year. If you want to talk about fluke year, last year was the only year, right? 2 years ago, there's been only years that LeBron hadn't made it to the playoffs, barring injury.
Yeah.
Like, come on. He played the whole season last year and he didn't get to the playoffs. That's because his whole team was hurt. I don't expect that to happen again. I don't expect that to happen twice.
And the last thing I want to mention is how much more do you need to get paid off of this Lakers package, right? You got Brandon. You got Herb. You basically got CJ. You got Dyson Daniels, who we haven't really talked about, but I'm not putting all this pressure on a 19, 20-year-old kid who haven't.
I'd even argue you got what he played 83 games. You got 80-something games of Zion. I even argue that because without AD requesting out, you don't get Zion. So
that's why I'm just like we've kind of already cashed in on the Lakers. Like, let's move the picks. Let's go get somebody. Because I really think Bogdanovic or even a Jordan Clark, like, it takes you to the next level. I really do. And I still think they're a top 4 or 5 team, but we'll see. Appreciate you. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying we getting Dame at the deadline. That's the move. the writing's on the wall.
Dame at the deadline. Speaking of which, I do want to mention this. Me and Five did not plan this, but if you haven't, Jarrett made some awesome LSU Let the Band Play neck shirts. They are on the website right now. Make sure you go purchase them. LSU Florida State this Sunday. Incredible. I actually like the purple now that I'm wearing the white. The purple looks even better.
Believe me, we tried, issues. That's what
issues. Chaz 5, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you disagree with this comment, if you agree with this comment, once again, presented to you by DraftKings and Company Burger located at 4600 Ferret Street. We will see y'all later.